Before we get back to Epstein, have you talked about Texas redistricting? Buddy, my friend, my buddy, my pal. Have I got good news for you? Texas redistricting effort has been stopped by a judge? Hello? A federal court on Tuesday blocked Texas from using a redrawn U.S. House map that touched off a nationwide redistricting battle. What? Meant to pick up 5 additional seats. So what's the public perception of this case is that it's about politics. To be sure, politics played a role in drawing the 2025 map, but it was much more than just politics. Substantial evidence showed Texas racially gerrymandered the 2025 map. This is almost certainly getting appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is almost certainly going to overturn it. There's no way this stands with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has basically been, like, approving racial discrimination lately. 6-3 ruling on the shadow docket incoming. Maybe 9-0 if it's procedural enough. Do you think the California one will be challenged as well? No, it can't be challenged for the same reasons, right? The proposed map in California is also obviously political, but it's not really racially biased. That's the problem. That's the difference. Like, if you have specific laws against racial bias in districting, that disfavors Republicans more than Democrats because whites are the majority in this country. And if you are districting a state to favor Democrat votes, you're usually not doing it in a way that disproportionately affects a given racial group because there are still lots of white people in the largely blue Democrat cities, right? So, whereas in Republican states, if you're trying to district things in favor of Republicans, you usually have to, like, really pack Black and Latino voters in. Well, mostly Black voters, I guess, because Latin voters have been a little more feisty with it, a little more spicy, as they might like to say. I've heard Latin people really like it when white people refer to everything they do as spicy. Does a federal court even have jurisprudence to take this case? Sure, yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. If they feel that a redistricting effort is violating federal law. That being said, it's possible this map just flags problems in a way the California map doesn't, but I still think the Supreme Court is going to overturn this. 3 other GOP states have abandoned their own redistricting proposals since the Dem sweep 2 weeks ago over fear of a midterm dummy member blowout, most recently in Indiana, even after Trump demanded they go through. Yeah. It's also possible that this effort to redistrict Texas wouldn't even get the outcomes they want, right? Like, in a state like Texas, you have to stretch your Republican majority pretty thin. Keep in mind, Texas is a purple state. No matter what they try to tell you, it is. The only reason it operated as a red state in 2024 is because the Latin vote shifted so much to Trump, relatively. There are plenty of Democrats in Texas. Is it? Yeah. 2020. Presidential election, Texas. I know 2020 is just one option to go through, but, like, even after extremely partisan efforts to suppress the votes of Democrats, like the closing of polling places, voting booths that would have served hundreds of thousands of largely Black Democrats in Texas, it was still less than a 6-point difference. This is not a deep red state. Not a deep red state at all. It just looks like it with those maps. Yeah, well, land doesn't vote. What's important to remember is that this whole area that I'm circling with my mouse right here has 5 people in it. And these 2 blue dots right here have like 12 million people in them. Not really exaggerating. That's basically that's basically true. More people voted Dem in Texas than in New York in 2024. Yep. Yes, sir. Well, again, the Supreme Court is probably going to overturn this. But Texas keeping this gerrymander map might actually be worse for the GOP in midterms because, like, a lot of the new districts they're creating are like, Republican +8 based on the 2024 split. So if there was a big Dem wave in 2026, it's possible that all of these gerrymandered districts just end up getting swept up by Democrats anyway. R +6? +6 is not a lot. The new red districts are reliant on the assumption the Latino vote sticks with Trump. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good for them. That's not good for them. Are you sure? Appeals court ruling the redistricting was done due to a letter from Trump's DOJ could throw a wrench in this? Well, the contention is not that this was politically motivated. The contention is that it's racially prejudiced, right? Which is why this works against Texas but wouldn't work in California. You should watch Let's Talk Elections. He talks about this stuff all the time. I'm afraid I can't. I'm midway through chapter 6 of watching Joseph Anderson play Umineko, okay? Just a few hundred more hours and I'll finally be through. Unfortunately, like unironically, my political knowledge, the extent to which I keep up in the news, has been lagging because I've had like 150 hours of visual novel to get through. And now I found that just a couple of days ago, he started playing Pathologic. Fuck! I'm never learning anything about politics again. All the podcasts I listen to on like history and urban planning and stuff, it's fucking gone, man. The fastest path to being a learned person is to be very boring and not have any interests. You also have to watch his E33 playthrough. No, I don't. I'm doing that. Anyway, good news is good news, folks. Are there any videos out on this? How recently did this article come out? 11:14 PST, an hour and 20 minutes ago. An hour 20 minutes ago. Hold on 1 second. Texas redistricting. I just want to see if there's an element to this. Bloomberg Television's got it.
Decision, one that, redhead crossing the Bloomberg terminal, one that could have implications for the 2026 midterm elections as we gear up for those. I'm curious, is this the end, or does this go to the Supreme Court next?
I mean, I would imagine that this will definitely be appealed and could likely end up at the Supreme Court. I mean, first of all, one of the most conservative appeals court is right near us. That is the that's the appellate division in Louisiana. So it could very easily end up there. Obviously, I think this has major implications. When you look at other states, you have California that is talking about redistricting. You have other states that are discussing it as well. This is something that will be paid attention to by the United States of America for sure. Major implications for the midterm elections.
Yeah, you can kind of see where the vulnerabilities are, right? Some of these like larger districts, they're stretching out from the Dallas, Houston, Austin areas, San Antonio. They're kind of relying on the Latin vote not flipping a bunch.
Yeah, it's just kind of fascinating because it does make us think.
Yeah, look at how few people live up here, man. 2 districts for this entire goddamn... Is it still a panhandle if it's vertical? Does a panhandle have to be horizontal? What would ladle handle?
Kind of what's next. We did talk about, you mentioned California, and earlier this month, California voters, Julie, as you know, overwhelmingly approved new congressional lines that could net Democrats up to 5 more seats in next year's House election. So is it tit for tat? Indeed, what happened in Texas is going to happen in California, or not necessarily?
Well, I certainly think so far we have seen this. I mean, Gavin Newsom certainly said we are going to fight fire with fire here. That's what he said, referring to his own state. So, of course, I think people will definitely be paying attention to how this is handled in the courts in Texas. I mean, it's fairly unusual to see redistricting at this time of the year. Generally, you see it every 10 years after there is a census report. So this is something you obviously...
Houston Public Media. Is this an actual public channel? Hello, Houston.
And developing story today about the maps, the newest
service of the University of Houston. That's delightful. That's absolutely delightful. Look at that.
We have been following a breaking and developing story today about the maps, the newest congressional map that had been decided upon, but it turns out it's not going to happen. Rejoining us now is politics and government reporter Andrew Schneider, just to give us a quick recap on what we've been talking about today, and then we have a very special guest joining us.
Right.
Houston and San Antonio, the best parts of Texas. What about Austin?
So the short version is that the 3-judge panel in El Paso issued an injunction blocking the 2025 redistricting maps from taking effect in time.
Man, fuck us. You guys really think Houston is better than Austin? Okay, whatever.
2026 election. This is not a final ruling. This is an injunction, which basically means that the maps cannot go forward for the next congressional election, the midterms. The decision was based largely on the premise that the legislature had acted in response to the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department in response to pressure from President Trump to try and redraw several congressional districts on what they called racial gerrymandering lines.
Now, one of the
nice. Really, though, this is good news. I still think that we're moving up to some really good momentum for 2026, but it's still a whole year out, you know? A whole year out. Austin is a better city to live in. Houston's a better city to visit. Okay. Dems are also set to add 4 seats in Virginia and reduce the GOP to just 1 seat in the state. God willing. Well, with what they're doing right now in Charlotte, I imagine they're going to keep some pretty heavy numbers out there. Hold on, we'll get to that next.